All right, ready to dive deep. Today, it's breathwork and its connection to shamanic states of consciousness.
Sounds
You
intense.
sent over this guide.
Using breathwork to enter a shamanic state.
Yeah.
Right. By Master Psychic Spirit Walker.
Yeah, that's the one. And specifically, you're interested in, well, how different techniques can, help you access these altered states.
Exactly. I think, what captivates me is how breathwork, it's like a bridge between our physical and spiritual selves.
More than just breathing to stay alive.
Right, right. It's about using the breath intentionally to kind of shift our consciousness.
Okay, so breathing obviously keeps us alive. But how does, changing how we breathe create these, I don't know, expansive experiences?
Well, think of it this way. Our breath, it directly impacts our nervous system and brain chemistry.
Mhm.
So by consciously changing our breathing patterns, we're actually changing like our physiological state.
Okay.
And this then opens up, the possibility of altered states of consciousness, even profound spiritual experiences.
So it's not like magic, it's science.
Exactly.
But still, the idea that we can access different states of being just by, changing how we breathe, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And this guide, it dives into some specific techniques that are, particularly effective for entering these shamanic states.
Perfect. Let's jump into those techniques then. The first one that caught my eye is holotropic breathwork, developed by Stanislav and Christina Groff. It sounds intense.
It can be quite powerful. Holotropic breathwork uses rapid, deep breathing in a group setting, often accompanied by music.
Music.
Yeah, and the music, it's specifically chosen, to guide the experience, with different phases evoking a range of emotions and sensations. Really, it's a journey into the subconscious.
So you're essentially using this intense breathing combined with music to trigger kind of the release of deep-seated emotions.
Precisely, and the group setting adds another layer to this.
Okay.
The collective energy, it can amplify the experience
Yeah.
and create this sense of like a shared journey. It can be challenging.
Mm.
But many people, they report profound insights and breakthroughs from holotropic breathwork.
Makes you wonder what we're all carrying around in our subconscious
Right.
and
Yeah.
how this kind of breath work could help us, process and release those things. Now, shamanic circular breathing is the next technique. And that sounds even more intense. No pauses between breaths, just continuous flow. Have you ever tried this?
I have, and it's a unique experience. The goal with shamanic circular breathing, it's to build energy and break down those mental barriers between our conscious and unconscious minds. So the continuous flow of breath allows you to enter, a heightened state of awareness, almost trance-like. It's like stepping outside the boundaries of your everyday perception.
Wow. Sounds like pushing your mental and physical limits.
Yeah.
But that's the point, right? To push past those everyday boundaries into a different realm of experience. What's it actually like to do this kind of breathing?
Well, as you build up the circular breathing pattern, you might start to feel, tingling sensations, lightheadedness, even a sense of euphoria.
Wow.
It can be quite a physical experience. But it's important to remember that, it's also very much a mental and spiritual practice. You're using your breath to shift your awareness and connect with deeper parts of yourself.
So it's not just about hyperventilating.
Right.
It's about harnessing that energy and directing it inwards, almost like a form of focused meditation. Makes me think of those whirling dervishes, using movement to achieve a trance state.
That's a great comparison. It's all about accessing those altered states of consciousness through focused intention and rhythmic practice.
From the intense to the more gentle, we also have the fourfold breath. This one uses a 4 count. For inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. Seems like a good place to start. Maybe a foundation, before trying the more intense techniques.
You can definitely see it that way. The fourfold breath, it's excellent for calming the nervous system and bringing balance and focus to the mind and body.
Yeah.
It's a technique you can use, anytime, anywhere, to ground yourself, create a sense of inner peace. Think of it as like a gateway to deeper shamanic work.
I like that, a gateway. So
Yeah.
you're building that solid base before venturing further into those more intense, expansive states of consciousness.
Exactly. And that foundation, it's crucial because, as we'll see with the other techniques, breathwork can be a powerful tool for exploring the depths of our being.
Right.
It can bring up a lot of emotions and energy. So having that stability and grounding is essential.
Okay, so we've covered 2 intense techniques, one that's more foundational. What's next on our breathwork journey?
Next up is rhythmic breath, which involves breathing to a specific rhythm, often guided by drumming or music. Think 4 to 7 beats per second. That's the sweet spot. This tempo, it's believed to help focus the mind and align your energy with, well, what some might call the vibrational frequency of the spirit world.
Hold on, we're getting to some really interesting territory here. So it's not just breathing deeply. It's about like syncing your breath to a specific frequency
Right.
that opens up these, let's say, spiritual pathways. That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is fascinating. And the choice of music or drumming, it plays a key role here. Different rhythms and sounds, they can evoke different energies and emotions. It's almost like using sound as a key to unlock certain states of consciousness.
Like tuning into a specific radio station, but instead of music, you're tuning into different realms of experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Now, the last technique highlighted in this guide is rebirthing breathwork, created by Leonard Orr. It emphasizes connected and continuous breathing, similar to shamanic circular breathing, but it seems to have a different focus. What's the idea behind this technique?
Rebirthing breathwork is about releasing suppressed emotions and accessing deep-seated memories, even those from birth. It's a journey of personal transformation, using the breath to clear out old patterns and embrace a renewed sense of self.
So while it uses similar breathing techniques, the intention is different. It's more about emotional release
Yes.
and healing past traumas, almost like a therapeutic approach.
It can be incredibly therapeutic. It's about using the power of breath to confront those hidden aspects of ourselves and emerge with a fresh perspective.
It's like hitting the reset button on your emotional archive. Okay, so we've explored these 5 distinct breathing techniques, each with its own unique approach to accessing, altered states of consciousness. It's like we've been handed a toolbox full of different tools for exploring our inner landscape.
Yeah, I like that.
But before we, grab a hammer and chisel and start digging into our subconscious, what about preparation? Is there anything we need to do before, diving into these practices?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This guide emphasizes 3 key aspects of preparation: setting an intention, creating a safe space, and grounding yourself.
Okay, let's unpack those one by one. First up, setting an intention. Why is that so important, especially when we're talking about something as powerful as shamanic states?
Imagine setting off on a journey without a destination in mind.
Yeah.
It's the same with breathwork. Setting an intention gives your practice direction and purpose.
Okay.
Are you seeking, healing, guidance, a connection to the spirit world? Your intention acts as a compass, guiding your experience. It's about consciously choosing where you want to go, what you want to explore.
So before even taking that first breath, you need to be clear about why you're doing this, what you hope to gain from the experience. I like that. The compass makes sense.
Yep.
What about creating a safe space? What does that entail?
When you're venturing into altered states of consciousness, it's crucial to feel safe and secure in your environment. This could mean finding a quiet space, comfortable, where you won't be disturbed. Some people, they like to create a more sacred space by lighting candles, using incense, or calling in protective spirits or guides.
Oh.
It's about creating an atmosphere that feels supportive and conducive to deep inner exploration.
So it's about minimizing distractions and creating an environment where you can really surrender to the experience, knowing that you're safe and supported.
Exactly. And this is especially important with some of the more intense techniques like holotropic breath work and shamanic circular breathing, where you might be exploring deep emotional states.
Makes sense to set the stage, so to speak, before, embarking on this kind of inner journey. Now, the last step is grounding. Why is grounding so important after these, breathwork journeys?
Well, when you're working with shamanic states, you're essentially shifting your awareness to different realms of consciousness.
Right.
Grounding helps you, reintegrate back into the physical world after these experiences. It's about anchoring yourself back into everyday reality.
Yeah.
After exploring those expanded states.
It's like returning home. After a long journey, you need to, reacclimate and reestablish your connection to the physical world. So what are some ways to ground yourself after a breathwork session?
There are many different grounding practices. Some people find it helpful to, eat something grounding, like root vegetables,
Yeah.
or to spend time in nature, feeling the earth beneath their feet.
Yeah.
Others might prefer to, take a cold shower, or simply focus on their breath, bringing their attention back to the present moment. The key is to find what works for you.
So it's about gently transitioning back to
Mhm.
your everyday awareness,
Right.
making sure you don't feel, spaced out or disoriented after those deep inner explorations. Sounds like a crucial step.
It is, and is often overlooked.
Yeah.
But integration, which we'll talk about more later, is just as important as the breathwork practice itself. It's about making sense of your experiences and incorporating the insights you've gained into your daily life. But first, let's dive a bit deeper into these techniques. You mentioned being particularly interested in shamanic states of consciousness. So let's explore what that actually means.
Yes, that's a great place to pick up. We've covered the techniques. Now let's delve into the why and how. For you listening, we're about to get into the really juicy stuff, what it actually feels like to enter these shamanic states and what kind of experiences you might encounter. Stay with us.
So shamanic states of consciousness. Well, shamanism, it's an ancient spiritual practice found in cultures all over the world, really.
It's definitely got that kind of mystery to it,
Yeah.
ancient wisdom. What do you think draws people to shamanism?
Well, it's about connecting with the spirit world for healing, guidance, wisdom. Shamans, they act as kind of intermediaries between the physical and spiritual realms, using rituals, trance states, and often plant medicines, actually, to access these other dimensions.
So tapping into a realm beyond the ordinary, like a realm of spirits and ancestors and unseen forces, sounds a bit like a fantasy novel.
It can feel like that, but for many cultures, it's not fantasy. It's a way of life, a
Yeah.
deeply ingrained part of their spiritual tradition.
Right?
And what's fascinating is that breathwork can be, a powerful tool for bridging that gap between the physical and spiritual, no matter your background or beliefs.
So even without, the exotic rituals or plant medicines, we can use our breath to access those same states, the states that shamans have been tapping into for centuries.
Exactly. And when you enter these shamanic states, you might experience a range of phenomena, from vivid visions and auditory hallucinations to profound insights and emotional breakthroughs. It's different for everyone, of course, but the potential for, expanded awareness and deep personal transformation, it's there.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. You've mentioned visions and hallucinations. Is that common? I mean, will I start seeing things if I try shamanic circular breathing? I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
It's not necessarily about seeing things with your physical eyes, though that can happen.
Okay.
It's more about a shift in perception, a heightened awareness of energy and information that's usually hidden from our everyday senses. You might experience vivid imagery, in your mind's eye, or hear sounds that seem to come from nowhere. It's about opening yourself to the possibility of experiencing reality in a new way.
Okay, so not like I'll suddenly see talking animals or anything. Though that'd be pretty cool. But seriously, it sounds like deep stuff.
Yes.
Are there any risks involved in, exploring these shamanic states?
That's a great question, and one we should always consider, when exploring any kind of altered state of consciousness. While breathwork can be incredibly beneficial,
Yeah.
it's important to approach these practices with respect and awareness. As we've talked about, preparation is key. Setting an intention, creating a safe space, and having grounding techniques in place are essential.
So not something to just jump into lightly,
That's
especially the more intense techniques.
Exactly. And it's always a good idea to consult with a qualified practitioner, especially if you're, new to breathwork or have any underlying health conditions. They can help you determine which techniques are appropriate and guide you through the process safely.
And if something feels uncomfortable or overwhelming during a session, what should you do?
That's where those grounding techniques come in. If you start to feel anxious,
Yeah.
dizzy, or like things are getting too intense, stop the practice,
Yeah.
focus on your breath, and bring your attention back to your body and the physical world around you. Remember, you're in control of the experience. You can always stop or adjust the technique as needed.
Sounds like having a trusted friend or guide present could be helpful, especially when exploring the deeper shamanic practices.
Absolutely. Having a support system in place can be incredibly valuable. Someone to hold space for you, to witness your experience, and to help you integrate afterward.
We keep coming back to this idea of integration, and I think it's so important. So often we have these amazing experiences, whether it's a retreat, a workshop, or even just a deep meditation, and then we go back to our everyday lives, and it's like it never happened. How do we actually make those experiences stick? How do we integrate them into our daily lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Integration is about bridging the gap between those extraordinary states of consciousness and your everyday life. It's about making those insights and transformations tangible and lasting.
So how do we do that? What are some practical steps listeners can take to integrate their breathwork experiences, especially those that involve shamanic states?
One of the most helpful practices is journaling.
Yeah.
Take some time after your session to reflect on your experience. What did you see, hear, feel? What insights or emotions arose? Writing it down helps to ground the experience.
Yeah.
And make it more tangible. It allows you to revisit those insights and reflect on their meaning over time.
It's like capturing those fleeting impressions before they, fade away, like butterflies you've caught in a net.
That's a great analogy. And as you revisit your journal entries, you might start to notice patterns emerging, recurring themes or symbols that hold a deeper significance for you. This can provide valuable clues for your personal growth and spiritual evolution.
So it's not just about recording the experience, it's about reflecting on it, making connections, and seeing how it fits into the bigger picture of your life.
Exactly. And another helpful practice is sharing your experience with a trusted friend, therapist, or spiritual community. Talking it through can help you, process the experience and gain new perspectives. It also helps to normalize these experiences, to know that you're not alone in what you're going through.
Because let's be real, these shamanic states, they can sound pretty out there to someone who's never experienced them before.
That's true. And there can be, a lot of stigma and misunderstanding around these practices. But the more we share our experiences, the more we normalize them, the more we can, break down those barriers and open up these possibilities for others.
I love that. It's about creating a space where people feel safe to explore, these different realms of consciousness without judgment or fear.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that integration is it's an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event, but rather a continuous unfolding of insights and understanding.
So it's not like you have one breathwork session and suddenly you're enlightened. It's a journey, a process of continual growth and evolution.
It is. And as you continue to practice breathwork and explore these altered states, you'll find that your integration process, it deepens as well. You'll become more adept at recognizing and integrating those insights into your everyday life.
So it becomes a feedback loop. The more you practice, the more you integrate, the more you grow.
That's a great way to put it. And that growth can be incredibly rewarding, both personally and spiritually.
Okay. We've covered so much ground here, the different techniques, the importance of preparation and integration, and the potential for entering these shamanic states. It's like we've taken a whirlwind tour through this fascinating landscape of breathwork and consciousnness.
We have, and it's just a taste of what's out there. There's so much more to explore, so many different paths and possibilities.
And I think that's what's so exciting about this. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a technique and a path for everyone, no matter their background or beliefs.
That's right. And that's the beauty of breathwork. It's accessible to everyone. We all breathe. It's a part of our very existence. And yet within that simple act lies the potential for profound transformation and connection.
It's like this hidden superpower we all have for just waiting to be unlocked.
Exactly. And as we explore these practices and share our experiences, we're rediscovering that power and reclaiming our connection to the full spectrum of human consciousness.
Well said. So for you listening, if this has piqued your interest, if you're feeling that call to explore the depths of your own being, What's the next step? Where do you go from here?
Well, it's like we've given you a taste of the menu, right?
Yeah.
But now it's time to, choose your dishes and savor the full feast.
I like that analogy. So if someone listening feels, drawn to this path, what would you recommend for further exploration?
Mm. Well, there are so many amazing resources available these days, workshops, retreats, online courses, led by experienced breathwork facilitators. Many of them specialize in, specific techniques
Okay.
or approaches. So
Yeah.
you can really tailor your learning to your interests.
It's like having a whole library of breathwork knowledge at your fingertips. How do you suggest people, go about finding reputable sources and teachers? It can be overwhelming to know where to even begin.
That's true. Word of mouth is always a good starting point, I think.
Yeah.
Ask around in your community, see if anyone has recommendations. Online
Yeah.
platforms like Breathwork International and the Global Breathwork Summit. Those are great places to connect with practitioners and learn about different modalities.
And don't be afraid to trust your intuition, right?
Absolutely.
If a particular teacher or technique calls to you, explore it.
Exactly. It's all about finding what resonates with you personally, what feels safe, supportive.
And inspiring.
Now, let's be real for a moment. Some people might be hesitant to explore breathwork because, well, they associate it with, I don't know, more esoteric or new age beliefs. What would you say to someone who's, curious about the benefits, but maybe a bit skeptical of the spiritual side of things?
I think it's important to remember that breathwork is a multi-layered practice.
Yeah.
Yes, it has deep roots in ancient spiritual traditions, but it's also gaining recognition in the scientific community for its therapeutic benefits.
Right.
There's a growing body of research showing the positive effects of breathwork on, stress reduction, anxiety, depression, even chronic pain.
So even if someone isn't, interested in exploring shamanic states or connecting with the spirit world, they can still benefit
Absolutely.
from the physiological and psychological effects of breathwork. Yeah, it's like a bridge between the ancient and the modern,
I like that.
the spiritual and the scientific.
And as more research emerges, I think we'll see even greater acceptance and integration of breathwork into mainstream, healthcare and wellness practices.
I agree.
Which is really exciting to think about.
It is.
And it's like this ancient wisdom is being rediscovered,
Yeah.
and validated through modern science.
It truly is, and it's a testament to the power of the breath.
Yeah.
To heal and transform on so many levels.
Well, before we leave our listener to embark on their own breathwork adventures, what's one final thought-provoking nugget you'd like to leave them with?
I would say this: remember that your breath is always with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant source of power and connection.
Yeah.
That you can tap into at any moment. Even just taking a few conscious breaths.
Yeah.
Can shift your state of mind, calm your nervous system, and bring you back to the present moment.
It's like having a built-in reset button we can press anytime, anywhere.
Exactly. So as you go about your day, pay attention to your breath. Notice its rhythm, its depth, its subtle nuances. It's a doorway to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of breathwork and shamanic states of consciousness. Until next time, may your breath be your guide.